Of Saints and Sinners by Morningstar Writes. Chapter 30. The Request. They enter Alastor's room to commence the healing process, and Lucifer looks around. It feels like a lifetime has passed since he last stepped foot here. Not much has changed, except...
Whoa, is this all my stuff?
Lucifer walks over to the bookcase and inspects a single shelf, which only houses a few things. 1 rubber ducks, 1 Alastor shaped, 1 Lucifer shaped. 2 the red radio, which he had purchased a while back. 3 a red and white feather. Is that his?
Wow, a corner just for me, huh?
Lucifer teases, but he feels rather pleased. He picks up the feather curiously and notes that it's still in pristine condition.
Well, it's no pales in comparison with your altar. How many of my items have you collected at this point?
Alastor counters.
Not an altar.
What else would you call it then?
For the life of him, Lucifer can't think of a better word to describe it.
You know what? It's none of your business.
I do believe it is my business. They are my belongings, after all.
Well, they're mine now, and...
Lucifer stops and clears his throat. If he doesn't focus, they'll end up arguing all day.
Okay, enough about that. So, healing?
Alastor's expression does a complete 180, going from playful to guarded in an instant.
Indeed.
The group on Earth's radio cane tightens.
But before we begin, I do have a question for you.
Lucifer tilts his head at this.
Oh, shoot.
Alastor doesn't ask immediately, instead choosing to stare into the crackling fireplace. The flames make his eyes reflect an emerald green, almost eerie in color. It's after an agonizingly long silence before he turns back to Lucifer.
Why did you heal me in the first place?
Alastor asks.
We were merely acquaintances. I asked you this once.
He pauses, and his voice lowers to a quieter register.
But you never answered.
Lucifer stares at him, a bit surprised at his question.
You want to know why?
Alastor nods, and so he deliberates over the best way to respond. Every reason that crosses his brain feels too much, too heavy, too loaded. It would be off-putting, wouldn't it, if he admitted how much he cared even back when they barely knew each other? He swallows down all his unspoken words and says,
Well, I mean, it's an easy enough thing for me to do.
Alastor's deer ears flatten.
Is that all? Have I been done?
The radio powers up in the meantime, as though Alastor subconsciously turned it on, and it's a slow song, melancholic in atmosphere.
Shit, I made a misstep, didn't I?
Lucifer grips the edge of his own shirt nervously. He'd rather make a fool of himself than to make Alastor look like that! The subtle look of disheartenment concealed in his signature smile.
That's not all.
He confesses.
I helped you because, well, the things that we did together. Playing music, rebuilding the room, fighting against the V's. I could see that you're kind of a jerk, but...
He trails off here. It's painfully embarrassing to say this, actually. But Alastor seems captivated by his fragmented sentences, and so he takes a breath before carrying on.
It's fun talking to you.
He can feel his face heat up. Fantastic.
I can admit that now, okay? It's not every day you meet someone where the conversation just flows, even if all we did is argue. And it'd be a shame if we couldn't talk anymore.
Alastor gazes at him, his red eyes burning like a flame, and he resolutely meets his stare.
So I healed you.
Lucifer takes a step towards him.
And so you did.
Alastor walks to him as well. He lifts up a hand to place it onto his own bow tie, idly toying in the ends.
I shall return your compliment, then.
His ever-present smile softens. Just a bit.
You have always made for a fine conversational partner, Lucifer.
And Alastor slips his bow tie off. Angel Dust watches over the small demons as they walk around the streets of hell. One of them window shops for a moment before entering a clothing store.
I can't believe Charlie left us to babysit the guests and to hand out these goddamn flyers.
He waves a pamphlet around indignantly.
How about those stupid errands?
Complain all you want, but you don't seem to really hate it.
Husk points out. He groans, unable to refute it. Fine, Charlie's nice enough, and I guess those demons are kind of cute. I haven't danced like that in a while, too.
Angel Dust brightens up at this.
Speaking of dancing, did you see that dip with Alastor and Lucifer? I should be a professional matchmaker or something.
Angel, they argued before, during, and after the dance.
Husk says dryly.
I think you've gotten a long way ahead of you.
Oh, fuck you. You'll see.
He gets momentarily distracted as he observes the small sinner through the window. She's rifling through some long, fluffy coats, but a shadowy figure approaches her. Someone really familiar. Someone...
Oh, shit. Ain't that Val? He's always bad news. And he's fucking talking to her now.
He grabs Husk's shoulder impatiently.
Come on, let's go rescue her.
They hurry into the store, and Angel Dust catches the tail end of Valentino's sentence.
You're beautiful. Why don't you work with me? Just sign the contract and I'll make you the most famous person in all of hell.
No thanks. She sounds a little shaken. I'm with the Husband Hotel, so there's no need.
The what?
Valentino furrows his eyebrows.
Did you say the Husband Hotel? Why would you even want to be there?
They're nice to me. She raises her voice, which draws the attention of a few inquisitive people. And I don't want to be contracted to you. They promise they protect me.
Really? And what would they know?
Valentino drawls. Angel Dust takes this as he's cute to jump in front of her with Husk slanting in beside him.
Fuck off, Val.
Angel Dust snaps.
She said no.
Valentino recoils in surprise.
Holy shit, Angel Dust. What are you doing here?
Having a good time on my day off until I saw your nasty face.
Angel Dust sneers. Valentino looks at him with thinly concealed displeasure, but he lets out a sarcastic laugh.
She claims to be staying in your hotel.
Well, she is, and she'll be here for as long as she wants.
They glare at each other, and you can feel Husk bristling up beside him, ready to fight whenever. Valentino looks like he's about to argue some more, but then sends him a sharp smile instead.
I'm only for now, but you'll see me very soon, Angel.
With a dramatic sweep of his coat, Valentino exits the shop. Angel Dust lets out a sigh of relief, and he turns to look at the small demon.
You good?
Thank you, she says gratefully. I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
Angel Dust pats her head. Nah, it ain't your fault. Val just fucking sucks. Honestly, I used to be so scared of him, but I feel like I can handle him better now.
Because you're at the hotel? Angel Dust pauses here.
I guess so. Funny how that works. Huh, nifty too.
My name is actually...
Sorry, excuse me?
A voice cuts in. Angel Dust turns around, only to be faced with an unknown person. Whoa, he's handsome. Making his way over to them.
What was that about? Protection and stuff?
Angel Dust sizes him up warily, but it doesn't really seem like a threat.
Out of the Husband Hotel.
The Husband Hotel? The stranger mulls it over. I think I heard it on 66 News at one point, but I don't know much about it.
Oh! Angel Dust glances over at Husk and then back at him. Normally he'd flirt with someone so attractive, but he lacks the desire to do so at the moment.
Well, you can get all the info on this brochure. We kinda gotta get going, so...
The demon nods and pockets the pamphlet.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
As the stranger walks away, Husk claps a reassuring hand on Angel Dust's arm.
Good for you for standing up to him.
Husk smiles at him. A real smile. And Angel Dust uncharacteristically gulps at the sight. He lets out an airy laugh, trying to brush it off.
Is that so? You're gonna give me a gift?
He bats his eyelashes.
I'd accept a kiss for my troubles.
Are you trying to be good?
Husk raises an eyebrow.
You shouldn't be asking for a reward.
Then are you gonna punish me?
Angel Dust says, his voice lowered, and Husk
elbows him to shut him up.
Valentino dials Fox's number, and he taps his foot against the pavement impatiently.
Pick up, Fox. I know you're not doing anything, you bitch.
What do you want?
Fox says flatly.
That fucking Charles or whatever, the princess. She is taking away potential souls that could be working for me,
Valentino says hotly.
I'm going to kill her and everyone else at that fucking shithole they call a hotel. Val, keep yourself together. You can't just kill the princess of hell. How will that look for our brand?
Valentino growls, annoyed but unable to argue against his logic.
Can't I shoot her just once? Why don't you join in on my plan instead?
He can practically hear Vox's grin through the phone.
I have something that'll make you feel better. Meet with me and we'll talk.
Alastor places the bow tie down onto his desk and turns back to Lucifer. Admittedly, he hadn't thought very far when he requested to be healed, but that was the effect Lucifer has on him, it seems. The inability to overthink. The desire to just do. Alastor's hand hovers over his shirt buttons, hesitating. He feels a little shy, concerned about showing him his shirtless state.
What's wrong?
Lucifer asks. It's rather cumbersome how perceptive he can be. He doesn't have a good excuse either, and so Alastor is forced to say the truth. He digs his fingers into his palms and then unfurls them. Have some apprehension about removing my shirt.
Oh, Lucifer nods quickly. Then we don't have to do this. You can make a different request.
No, Alastor interjects. He puts a hand on his sternum, trying to think of how to phrase his muddled thoughts. I simply meant, I would feel much too exposed by myself. Lucifer takes the time to process his words. It's quite apparent when he comes up with an idea because his face reddens in hue.
Okay, I have a suggestion.
Oh? Enlighten me then. Lucifer inhales deeply and then looks at him.
What if I took my shirt off too? Would that help?
And all his thoughts come to a stop, his mind back to the sound of a dial-up tone. To think that admitting his reluctance would lead to such an outcome, would it help? Alastor doesn't even know he's in unknown lands at the stage, and all he can do is force his voice into a neutral tone, as though he doesn't care. But he does care. In fact, he's been rather intrigued by the concept for a while. I suppose that is acceptable. They look at each other. Alastor finds it harder and harder to breathe. Is the very air around them escaping the room somehow? He smiles harder, trying to maintain some kind of control. Why don't you go first, then? He manages to say.
Yep, sure.
And Lucifer, he, with the utmost casualness, tugs his jacket off, and then his vest, throws them both over a chair before he starts to unbutton his white shirt. Alastor can't look away, somehow, watching his dark fingers make quick work of removing his shirt, starting from the first button, second, third, fourth, fifth. He catches sight of Lucifer's torso from his open shirt, just a sliver of pearly white skin. Lucifer slows down here, hands clutching the hem uncertainly. Did he change his mind?
So I have,
Lucifer stammers.
Don't freak out, okay?
About what? He asks. But in lieu of responding, Lucifer shrugs off his shirt entirely, exposing the bare expanse of his chest. And Alastor immediately averts his gaze, focusing instead on the outline of his abdominal muscles. He always looks so slim, but he's really quite toned. How does his body feel? Curiosity overcomes him, and Alastor places a single finger on Lucifer's torso. You are so very pale. Lucifer's breath hitches at his words, and Alastor slowly drags his hand downwards, trailing over the rigidness of his firm stomach, the dips and lines from his muscles. He trails over Lucifer's abdominal V-line, fingers skating against the sharp corners of his hip bones, going down and down and down, until he reaches the waistband of Lucifer's trousers, secured by a button and a zipper. Interesting, he thinks. I wonder. Alastor's hand hovers over the zipper before curling his fingers into a fist instead. He's not even sure what he was thinking of doing, his body moving before his brain can even process it. Something on Lucifer's body shimmers in the light, and it captures his attention instead. He leans in close to see it, and it's
Is this what you're referring to? You appear to have a serpent scale.
Alastor runs his finger over it. The scale is delicate and iridescent, so translucent that it's almost invisible.
Yeah.
Lucifer backs away at his touch, looking self-conscious.
Is it weird?
Such a strange reaction. Alastor blinks at this before putting his hand down.
Are you concerned about it?
Lucifer crosses his arms as though attempting to hide the scale.
It's the one thing I can't seem to shapeshift away. An eternal reminder, I guess. Not trying to be vain or whatever, but...
He doesn't bother finishing his sentence. Alastor wants to see his face, see his expression, but Lucifer lowers his head, hiding what he's feeling. Still, he can tell from his demeanor that he's feeling rather unsettled by it.
That little seraphim did mention that you were perfect in beauty.
The little who?
The small one.
Alastor gestures upwards.
She resides in heaven?
Clarity finally dawns on Lucifer's face.
Oh, Emily. Right, she did say that. I know she wasn't trying to insult me, but there's no way that's true. I mean, maybe back in heaven, but down here in hell, I've changed a little, you know?
He's hunched over now, like he wants to shrink in on himself, and it hurts somehow to see him like this. Alastor considers what to do here, seized by the desire to comfort Lucifer, to sincerely help him. Something that he doesn't bother doing with other people, but he wants to do for him.
Lucifer.
He lifts his head up when he hears his name and their gazes meet.
I may have only known you down here, but I must admit that...
And Alastor feels uncomfortably out of place, delivering words that come straight from his heart. He grapples with how to phrase it and sighs out.
You are quite the sight for sore eyes.
Lucifer's eyes widen and he drops his arms to his side. The scale sparkles under the light, but he doesn't notice because that's when Lucifer's face turns into a solid shade of pink.
Jeez, Alastor.
He sends him a half smile.
Say more nice things, why don't you?
He could, but the frenetic pace of his heartbeat is distracting him, and Alastor switches tactics instead.
I believe that is enough for today. It would be a problem if your head grows any bigger.
Alastor tousles his blonde hair condescendingly, and Lucifer immediately shoves his hands off.
Well, you have the biggest ego out of everyone I know.
I will take that as a commendation. Such high praise from the sin of pride.
Only you would think that's a good thing, idiot.
But a snort escapes from Lucifer's mouth, his lips quirked up with mirth. It's much better when he looks like this, at ease and amused by Alastor's quips. He runs a hand through his flaxen locks, trying to tidy it, and he gazes up at him.
Okay, well now, I don't want to be the only one without a shirt on.
Alastor fixes him with a look.
Impatient, aren't you?
How long has it been since he's removed his clothing in another person's presence? Decades, perhaps? Alastor starts to take his jacket off. He's much slower in movement compared with Lucifer, and he can feel his intense stare, heavy and alert.
Turn around,
Alastor orders. It's needless, really, but he can't handle essentially laying himself bare one button at a time.
Sure.
Lucifer dutifully turns away, complying as always. With slow precision, Alastor takes off his overcoat, his suspenders, his shirt, and when he's done, he folds them all neatly atop of a desk. He then looks over at Lucifer, who is still facing away. He can see the 6 demarcations of where his wings would be, the deep line of his spine down the center of his back. All the angles of Lucifer are so very tantalizing and like he's hypnotized. Alastor steps closer and closer and closer.
I can hear your footsteps.
Lucifer calls out.
You done?
Yes.
Alastor murmurs right by his ear. Lucifer jumps and whirls around, his eyes fixating right onto Alastor's chest. You're fluffy, he blurts out, his voice full of marvel. Alastor stiffens up at the remark.
Such a keen eye, Lucifer.
Oh, fuck, he mumbles, still staring. His response is rather peculiar, as if Alastor lifts his head.
What is it?
Just when I thought you couldn't get any hotter.
Alastor's smile freezes on his face, and Lucifer throws his hand over his own mouth, looking horrified by his words. Didn't mean to say that. Shit, can you just... He lifts up a hand, which makes Lucifer cease his blathering. He's always kept his fur concealed, because it's not particularly intimidating, but... What did you mean to say, then? Alastor finally asks.
That I love it.
And then Lucifer slaps his own forehead.
Great. Don't listen to me. Can't control my mouth today, obviously.
Today? Don't you mean always?
Alastor mocks, although he feels something warm flower in his chest, watching as Lucifer looks increasingly flustered. It's enjoyable, really, to see him all red and embarrassed. Alastor's always delighted in pushing him to the limit.
Whatever, I think we've done enough compliment exchanges today.
Lucifer grouses. But then his expression changes to concern, and he leans in towards Alastor.
Whoa, that's a pretty big scar.
Without a warning, Lucifer places a hand on his chest, warm and gentle. He flinches a little, but when Lucifer tries to pull his hand away... Don't go! Alastor grabs onto his wrist to prevent him from leaving, and they stand there like that, staring in silence, breathing in synchronization. He can hear Lucifer gulp, and when he speaks, he sounds rather choked.
It's still manageable, but if I can cover more surface area, it'll heal better.
Meaning what?
So if we have more skin touching each other by hugging or something, it generally heals faster.
Lucifer swallows hesitation written all over his face.
But a hand on it works. It'll just take way longer.
Alastor pulls him in without another word. He wraps his arms around Lucifer's bare shoulders, and in return, Lucifer's hands slowly slide around Alastor's torso. He starts using his powers, bathing them both in a comforting golden light. It's absolutely freeing. It feels incredible. It tingles wherever they touch, and he can't help but run his fingers down Lucifer's spine. Oh! Lucifer gasps and arches his back at the contact, presses his body harder against Alastor's, and it makes his brain officially kaput, fizzling out of order. His hands become motionless, still placed on the small of Lucifer's back.
You gonna keep going or what?
Lucifer mumbles. He keeps his head placed against Alastor's chest, hiding his face. With some difficulty, Alastor continues his slow movement, fingers sliding all the way down until he makes it to Lucifer's waist and his hands completely encircle his small midriff. Truthfully, he's unsure how much time passes. When Lucifer had healed him for the first time, it had been a reassuring experience, pleasant even, despite his painful wound. And now that he's healing him for the second time, he's hit with the uncomfortable realization that he can do this for eternity. To have Lucifer's hands dig into his skin, to be embraced by his slender arms, to listen to the sweet sound of slow jazz, the two of them alone together. I feel content? Alastor blinks and he loosens his hold. Lucifer lifts his head up in response. Whatever he sees in Alastor's expression makes him drop his arms to the side and let him go.
Look, it's gone now.
Alastor peers at Lucifer's proud smile before gazing down. His scar is completely gone, and he touches his chest gingerly.
Ah, so you really did heal me.
What, did you doubt me or something?
Perhaps just a smidge.
Lucifer scowls, although he doesn't actually seem all that offended.
Jerk. Would saying a thank you hurt you too much?
Did you want me to praise you?
Alastor thoughts.
Then I shall. Goodbye.
Lucifer splutters incomprehensibly. You always say that to me, asshole. And then he mutters a string of profanities while reaching for his shirt. After he pulls it on, Lucifer throws Alastor's shirt at him, scowling the whole time.
Here, cover yourself up.
Such a gentleman.
Alastor says sardonically, but he does slip his red shirt over his shoulders. Neither of them bother to button up. Shirts open, torsos exposed, and he sits down on the edge of the bed. Lucifer doesn't move, however. He stands there, his eyes darting between the door and the bed, like he's considering leaving, which is not what Alastor wants. Not the outcome he'd prefer. To be quite frank, the sentimental drivel that he's thinking is making himself sick. Still, he snaps his fingers in order to get Lucifer's attention.
Are you waiting for my permission?
He lifts an eyebrow before waving a hand towards the bed.
Then by all means, sit.
Oh, fuck you.
Lucifer says hotly, although he does walk over and jumps onto the bed as well. He turns around, and when he does, his open shirt spreads out a little wider, enough so that his serpent scale glistens under the light. Quite stunning, Alastor thinks.
You kind of owe me, by the way.
Lucifer says suddenly. Alastor squints at him, a bit befuddled.
And what are you referring to?
I mean, I haven't seen you in 4 days.
Lucifer says, raising 4 fingers up.
So you owe me some kisses. 4 kisses, actually.
Ah, that is certainly true, isn't it? Alastor hadn't expected him to keep track in this way, but it does make him feel little pinpricks of intrigue.
Very well then, a deal is a deal.
Not a deal.
Alastor ignores his complaints, leaning back on his hands instead. The movement causes his shirt to slide off a bit from his shoulders, and Lucifer stares at him rather obviously. It makes Alastor want to poke fun at him.
Now, what are you looking at?
He says, and Lucifer snaps out of it. He grabs Alastor's shirt and hastily puts it back over his shoulders, fixing it in place. Lucifer even starts to button it up for him, but in his hurry, he skips a few buttons, and Alastor's shirt is all askew.
Did you misalign the buttons on purpose?
Don't change the subject.
Lucifer mumbles.
I gotta collect my debt here.
Alastor lets it slide, and doesn't bother adjusting his shirt.
So be it. Shall we rotate to initiates? I'll permit you to start.
Lucifer rolls his eyes. Despite this, there's a fond smile tugging in his lips.
Wow, you're generous.
And then he looks at Lucifer carefully, his eyes scouring him with great attention. He gets off from the bed, stands up in front of him, and it's one of the rare instances where Lucifer is taller. Alastor has to crane his neck up to look at him.
Can I pick where to kiss?
Lucifer asks. Interesting. It hasn't crossed his mind before, but it doesn't have to be on the lips, now does it? Alastor nods, and Lucifer bends down.
I'll just...
And he kisses the top of Alastor's head. It's quick, a mere peck. And after he sits back on the edge of the bed, Alastor touches the spot where he kissed.
So that's 1.
Lucifer's voice is rather small.
Your turn, I guess.
Alastor hadn't expected him to kiss there. It's rather foreign to be treated like this. Tenderly, kindly. And what's even more unusual is that it feels good, precisely because it's coming from Lucifer, not anyone else. Alastor observes his face in detail, his large expressive eyes, his pink-tinted cheeks, his smooth pale skin. His hair is slicked back as usual, exposing his forehead, the perfect spot. And so he moves in, pressing a brief kiss right there on Lucifer's forehead. He withdraws right after. Neither of them speak. There's only the sound of jazz in the air, the melody slow and intimate. And then Lucifer moves without being prompted, cradles Alastor's hand within his palms and brings it to his lips, just a fleeting kiss on the back of his hand, his lips warm and soft. It's a princely gesture, and in the back of his head, Alastor recalls that he is royalty. After some hesitation, he lets his hand go.
1 more,
Lucifer says quietly.
1 more,
he echoes. Alastor lifts up a hand, gently holds Lucifer's face. He can see the way his golden eyes widen, can feel how his breath hitches at the contact. Lucifer doesn't push him off, his countenance expectant, and so Alastor tilts his chin up, leans in, and kisses him on the lips. It's different from the frantic nature of their previous ones, and they kiss as though they have all the time in the world. Alastor keeps his hand on his chin. Lucifer places his hand on the back of Alastor's head. His slender fingers rake through his red hair pleasantly, like he knows where Alastor likes to be touched, and... Fuck. Alastor starts to tremble. He can feel his hands shake, can feel his mind spiral out of control, and he's still not used to it. But he wants to so bad. When will this get easier? Lucifer pulls away, picking up on his discomfort, and he looks at him anxiously. Not the result that he hoped for, and it's pretty clear now that Alastor's worst enemy is himself.
So that's 4. Guess we're done now.
Lucifer smiles, but it's not very convincing. He's about to get up from the bed when Alastor shakes his head profusely, trying to get him to stop.
One more,
Alastor mutters,
to make up for being late.
and he pulls Lucifer in
My shirt collar.
Rosie hears the sound of a bell, indicating that someone is at the door. She lifts her head up to greet her customer, and it's a welcome surprise when she discovers that it's Charlie, her girlfriend, and Nifty. "Hello, girls," Rosie says cheerfully. "What can I do for you today?"
Rosie!
Charlie smiles at her.
We just had a bit of shopping to do today, and thought we'd drop by to say hi.
"Aren't you sweet? Just the 3 of you today, then?"
Yeah, Husk and Angel Dust are taking care of our new guests, and Alastor and my dad are at the hotel.
"Are they now?" Rosie places her hand on her chin, contemplating. It's been a while since she's met with Alastor, and although being part of the investigation was rather fun, she's also concerned about how he's holding up. Is he feeling well? Does he finally understand his emotions? Or does he need an extra hand? "Well, perfect timing." Rosie holds up an overcoat. "I wanted to give Alastor his jacket back. I'll go visit him."
That sounds great. We still have some stuff to do, so you can head on over first.
Charlie rummages in her pockets and then hands over a key to Rosie. "You can borrow this." "Well, thank you, dearie." And after she closes up her shop, Rosie sets off towards the Has-Been Hotel, overcoat in hand.